Well, then you get to deal with it anyway because you just have no other choice. Craig Martelle coming to you live from the subarctic, where it snowed 3 inches yesterday, but it's going to hit 42 degrees today. So most of that will melt. I'll go out there and snow blow it anyway, just because who
Good
doesn't
weather.
want to get out with their tractor? Where are you, Michael? What are you doing?
I am still in the cave in the sky in Las Vegas. I will probably actually get out today. Haven't been out for a few days, and besides going a little stir crazy, I got to hit the post office. I'm sure. In fact, I realized yesterday morning that it's like I haven't spoken to you in 3 or 4 days. I go, oh, that's because I haven't left.
That's yeah, because you always call me while you're walking somewhere and going to get
Walking, driving, whatever it takes. I'm like, it's one of the first things I do. Hey, how is Craig doing? Oh,
yeah,
where's Craig?
a quick 15 minutes. But I've been here cranking away, getting stuff ready for doing a lot of stuff for 20 Books Vegas. I figured we're going to pay for artwork for badges and other things sooner or later. So how about sooner and for imprint as well in order to keep that money engine rolling. Order the swag now
Mm-hmm.
and keep imprint to give them even a little bit probably helps them get over this hump
Yeah.
because they have been spectacular for us. So I'd like to keep rolling with them and get our stuff. Jim Slater is waiting with
I'll bet bated breath.
the big catcher's mitt as the B-52 drops carpet bombs, notebooks and pens on him. So
Yeah.
there we are. What do you have? The big question I have is whenever this ends and we start to open things back up and restaurants start to reopen, and the world starts to take a new shape, but a more normal shape. What do you want to do? What's one of the first things you want to do?
I think for me, the piece is that I'm not necessarily a social person. I don't want to go to a party, for
Yeah,
example, and speak to 30 people I don't know. But I do want to be able to go to restaurants, eat, talk to the waitress, because that's like a one-on-one, or waiter. That's a one-on-one conversation I can have. We already understand what the premise is. I'm there to order some food. They're there to take the orders and provide service for that. Unlimited iced tea. I don't know, but for some reason I miss that, and I'd like to see that move forward. But also just knowing that there's people around me, like you know. And I was talking with someone yesterday, and the question kind of came up: is how come there aren't any more family on family homicides? With what's going on, or we just don't hear about them because the news reporters don't know about them. I don't know.
I suspect it's the latter. That they're just not getting reported because everybody's killing everybody else in their house and nobody's supposed to leave. So you don't know that they're not supposed to be someplace. And it's like, hey, Michael hasn't shown up for work for a week. What happened? I mean, it's we're all at home, and if people don't make a Zoom meeting, well, hey, they chalk it up to IT issues and move on, or hey, the net is choked and they couldn't get on today. Nobody cares. People
Yeah,
care, but nobody has a vehicle by which to say he should have come into work, didn't call. It's been 3 days. We can't get a hold of him at home. Maybe somebody should go check on him.
yeah.
We don't have that ability right now. So I think we're going to find a few people who did not weather this as well as others, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a dark topic, but I found it somewhat humorous for myself. But it's kind of humorous times. Keep your happiness going, or else.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, somebody commented that brother is a cop, and most of the calls are domestic calls. Which up here in Alaska, because of the winter and people being trapped in their houses because the weather doesn't let them go out. Imagine -40 with 30-mile-an-hour winds and snow piling
Oof.
up around your house, so you don't leave. Well,
Mm-mm.
domestic violence is huge up here. I mean, huge, as well as alcoholism and suicide. And I think the rest of the world is getting to see that little bit that we have up in Alaska. And that it can be terrifying, but it's also something that can be dealt with if you have access to the outside world. And you get out in some of the nether regions here, and if it's just you in your house with no access to outside world, and then conflicts arise, and you are left alone to deal with it. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to take questions.
But we've done 5 minutes.
After we've done 5 minutes of Jesus, oh my God, it's doom and gloom. No, for me personally, getting out, I want to go to Vegas. I want to go to Vegas. I want to get that contract signed for 2021, 2022, so I can tell people where we're going, and I can be excited about the future of conventions in Vegas, because it's still going to be the convention center. Just what are they going to look like? And that's it'll be nice because we're November, so somebody else is going to hold one in between, and we'll get to see what the world is allowing for shows in Vegas, because it's our hallmark. Come there, network, meet people. I mean, we don't have to shake hands and stuff like that, but there's so much stuff that we can do and still have a great show without making anybody sick. We don't want con crud, because everybody's going to be terrified of that, and we don't want you to be.
Absolutely.
So that's what I want to do. I want to come to Vegas. I want to go to Ping Pang Pong. They better survive this, so you better just throw money at them while they're shut down to keep their cooks especially on.
If I could, oh my goodness gracious! It's getting bad enough to where now I'm like going to the store and I have to get rice and I have to get, well, we have eggs, but meat, just in order to make fried rice, just to make it through.
And it's not as good. Doesn't matter. It's not as good. So yes, the Ponger, I do want to go there. And Jesse Ray's, I'm actually going to spring and do their waffle fries, even if I have to take a whole bottle of Zantac. Yes, those are so damn good. When they catered them. So yeah, waffle fries at Jesse Ray. Those little things, and get out. Otherwise, I don't need to go see people. That's not it. But the show, the energy from the 20 Books Vegas show is the big thing that I'm looking forward to this year. I mean, and Judas Priest, the fuckers better play. Oh, by the way, disclaimer: we might swear on this show. So anyway, they better play. They better survive coronavirus so they can play Vegas.
Yeah, really.
Oh my God,
that's funny. Are you guys holding in place wherever that place is? Are you in place?
Yeah. So, do we have any questions?
The first question is yes. Judith is alive. Elaine has clarified that she's seen Wendy somehow, but Judith is predominantly in our Slack group. She's not on Facebook too much unless you happen to be more to the side and you put pretty babies that she happens to see or something like that.
Yeah. Wendy posts. She does meditation every morning and posts a picture, and then also does yoga, and posts a short video of a yoga position, getting into it and holding it for everybody out there. Just as her the way she makes sure that she does it every day. So anyway,
well, that's really, really good. How are you doing things? What if anything? So here are a couple of things I've heard and witnessed. How about your author emails, your release emails? Has anyone seen those for a couple of weeks? Has anyone seen
the new release emails from Amazon? They are not going. That we found that out. I think yesterday or day before, and came as a complete surprise. It's one of those things. Oh damn! I guess they haven't been coming, because I like seeing them as a testament. Yes, your books are LMBPN books are going out, but all of a sudden it's like, no. I know I always get a nice bump when mine goes out, so I am guaranteed to lose sales by those emails not going out.
Yeah, absolutely. JNC is the one that mentioned it to me, and then also bots don't seem to be connecting. I don't know if that's everybody or just us in particular, but one of my
I saw some show up this morning on one of my books. Yes, okay. I was very surprised, because previously I don't use a anonymous entry to go check books. I use my own, and the also bots are down at the bottom. Had been down at the bottom, and today they were up at the top, and I'm like, oh my God! But the book didn't have a rank, even though I know we've sold like 1,000 copies, so it should have a rank and what categories it's in, and it didn't. It didn't have that, but it had some customers who viewed this item also viewed, but it was the top line right below the blurb. So
now, is
who
that
knows?
Now, is that an update, or was that like a new book you released, which hadn't been in the also bots of other books, now exists in the also bots of other
Ah,
books?
I don't know. I don't know that, and it was released on March 23rd, so it's been out for more than a couple weeks now. So,
Um, Elaine Bateman says also bots too. That's it. I'm opening a bottle, and I'm like, Elaine, you don't ever need that much explanation just to open a bottle. It's a day that ends with Y. That's it. I'm
oh
ready
my
to open.
God, oh my God, and the dynamic duo. Actually, having Kate Pickford on the show on Monday morning. We just talked her into it today to talk story
Oh,
and
nice.
her life as developmental editor and things that she looks for and recommends. Even though she doesn't do that anymore because she's making serious bank off her own books finally, and deservedly so. So
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Lawrence goes, I had Autobots this morning. Well, once again, this is you at your book and the Autobots underneath it, even though they're most liked by this Anderle guy. And that's because we support you, Lawrence. We support you. Therefore, our fans are the ones who are reading your books.
yeah, and that was this book for my also bots was almost all of my books, and then one pretender in there, and then uh, a lot of those were box sets, even though this was an individual book, the first in a series. Still, it's good to see.
You know what? The one who's just Facebook user asking about marketing, we've had to rearrange our marketing right now. Amazon ads in general are still very expensive, even though we talked about the highest ones kind of came down. So what's happening now is we're looking at Facebook ads. They seem to have a nice cost per click, and it's interesting because over the last few years, and we totally always blame Mark for this, which might be true and might not, but we're still blaming him, that the cost per click for Facebook ads for indie authors went way up after Mark's course became so damn popular. Well, great. But now what's happened with the coronavirus, I believe, and this is completely conjecture, is that massive swaths of companies have stopped their Facebook ads. Therefore, the ads come down. So it doesn't matter necessarily. It's like, yeah, Facebook ads are down. I don't know that the indie community is going to be able to wholeheartedly support Facebook's ability to use all of the ad space available. So ads are pushing much more into there, and we're getting three, sometimes 2 to 4 more clicks per our cost per click than Amazon ads, and that's helping us in our area of expertise.
I
So
think another thing is that like 3/4 of the world is now on actively engaged with Facebook, so there's more possible targeting that can be
yes,
done,
that's true.
and that's so refine your targeting, start a new ad, and look for different targeting words that you searched for before that didn't have a target. Maybe they do now, as people have started groups, have started socializing more on Facebook as opposed to in person. So if your target are gin drinkers, I bet you there's a few groups for that, and you can target those people. So
Yeah.
whatever you need to do, try something a little different with your Facebook ads, because I think there's more people out there that have now demonstrated that interest, and fewer people vying for that space, because companies. I know a lot of companies like 4Imprint was just killing it with ads, and I was getting bombarded with them, and Marco promos and all kinds of people selling pens and stuff like that. And now I'm not anymore. I think they drew that back in a hurry once conventions started getting canceled.
Yes, that would make a lot of sense. I hadn't even considered this really, insightful to say, okay, and not only are fewer people advertising, uncovering opportunities, so many people are on there now creating new impression opportunities.
Yep.
So from that perspective, Facebook is almost a no-brainer.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
think
pushing into that.
I think now is the time. You need to get into Facebook, because you can start off low and you're still going to get impressions. So then over time, you can start building your effectiveness and your ROI. So now is a great time. Mal Cooper's book is still free. Go to, I'm sure there's a link. If somebody has the link, can you share it on the in the comments of
A link
for
for
Mal Cooper's Help My Facebook Ads Suck, second edition. So for marketing, what a clue? There's a lot of stuff on 20 Books 50K, because it really starts with what is your product line? How do you want to promote it? If you have one book, you're going to have marketing challenges. If you have a series, then how do you get that first book into people's hands? What are you willing to do as a loss leader, or are you not willing to use it as a loss leader? Do you have a reader magnet? Every marketing is the big picture. So there's some stuff I talk about in release strategies, in pricing strategies, and in my become a successful indie author about those things. But you don't need to pay anything there. I've got them down to 99 cents anyway, but you don't need to pay anything there. Go to 20 books 50K and search, marketing plan and some things like that to get a general idea. Because marketing and then advertising, promotions, those are subsets of marketing. Marketing is how do you get your books into people's hands. So there's subsets so
aware?
much.
They got to be able to make a choice. They can't make a choice until they're aware. They can't become aware unless you've done something proactively, or you have great word of mouth, which is how Arthurian Gambit, quite frankly. One thing about word of mouth, though, is the more I've become successful, the more I've built LMBPN, the more my time has been focused on building the company and not hanging with the fans, the less the fans are super involved. So we see inside our company, those authors that are involved with the fans contain and retain and then continue to grow super fans who help market for them just because they like them.
And this is a good thing here. This statement. And we tried this. Michael did this. He's like, hey, my Facebook ads are killing it. Let me just shut off the Amazon ads. Then everything stopped. It's like, what the hell? So left the Facebook ads running, ran the Amazon ads. We're doing okay. Well, let me stop the Facebook ads, and everything crashes. It's if you could refine and know exactly, but I think it's the 7 touches element. I saw this on Facebook. I didn't click, but then when I was on Amazon searching for the latest urban fantasy, it showed up again. So, hey, let me click it now. And you don't know where really they saw it first if they didn't click. But over time, you beat them down 7 touches, the 7 touches rule, and they pick it up. So if you run a Facebook ad for one day, it may not be as effective as if you're running it for a whole week. Because I've clicked on things and thought, let me pass on that. And then a week later, it's like, okay, that's looking good. It's just like sushi. The first time you eat sushi, you're completely disgusted. But then you start jonesing for it, and then all of a sudden you can't get enough sushi. So that's just
yes. There's no jonesing in sushi. Yes. No. So one of the Kevin Pepin talking about the getting lots of clicks and getting reads, but not really selling. Now, if you mean I'm getting reads by getting KU, then you are selling. There are genres that go heavier into KU than ebooks, but if what you mean is they're reading your blurb but not selling, we have a situation where I was discussing it with our marketing guy last night. 2 books, put them up. Both of them are getting great cost per. Well, one of them is getting mediocre, 20 cents cost per click on Facebook, but both of them getting good click through, solid. You would suspect that both of them would have solid sales. One is not. Both of them seem to have good covers, which is usually my first indicator of what's going on, especially if you do something like Mal Cooper talks about with Facebook ass on spaceship ass on Facebook. Facebook ass.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that nowadays.
So when they get there, you have to look at your landing page and go, okay, is it my blurb? Is it my read through? Is it the open up? Is there no call to action? Is it my title? What is it that goes there? You just work it through the sales funnel. I'm actually getting people made aware, which is the top of the sales funnel. And then they take the next step. They clicked on the ad. They go there. Now, the other part that would be is I don't know if Facebook has anything remotely like this. Maybe Instagram ads. Do you have Instagram ads running? Because if you do, it's a possibility that they're accidentally clicking on your ads. If that's the case, I don't know. But in Google ads, there was a little feature that I found one time, but the ads would show up in video games. And so it'd be the little bitty ad at the bottom. And all of a sudden I had these amazing cost per clicks, but then I realized I wasn't selling anything. It's because they were accidentally clicking on the ad in the first place. So I don't know if that's a problem, but we're looking at it from like, what's our blurb? What's our blurb difference? Do we have something compelling that keeps asking questions that they need to answer? And by answering, they actually have to read the book. So if your blurb is just telling a story that you believe that by telling them about this great, in a situation that they should be interested in, well, you're giving them no questions, or you're not saying now go buy it. Go work on your blurb.
Yeah, and that lots of clicks, page reads, no matter how many they are, but not selling. Think about the world as it is right now. So as part of that, what I'm including in my newsletter, the last two, was Amazon has a free KU for 2 months if you're not already a subscriber. Amazon US and Amazon UK. So I included both those links and just, hey, you can read my books completely for free. And this is part of understanding what's going on in the world and targeting that, because Amazon is going to maintain a slush fund for paying KU, paying out KU. And we're going to find out in 4 days what kind of commitment they're going to make to that with the March page reads, when we find out what that number is. Are they going to dip it down to 0.4, 0.004 or something like that, saying, hey, we're getting a hell of a lot more page reads because people, or are they actually going to support it by injecting additional cash and saying, please keep your books in KU? Because if they drop it too low, some people will dive out and they'll lose their ass. I mean, it happens every time whenever they lower the rate and people say, I'm getting the hell out of KU, and they disappear. Marketing goes back to marketing. What is your strategic plan? Because if you're going to be destroyed by 1 month, the difference between 4.4 and 4.0, then maybe your marketing plan isn't strong enough to be getting enough books into enough hands to minimize that your base is solid. Because if your base isn't solid, then that little change can upset the apple cart, as it may be. Yeah. So include the KU. So if your KU reads go up and sales go down, it's okay. Your target market may not have extra cash right now. They may be in that 30% that are going to be unemployed and are watching every penny. So give them an opportunity. Hey, here's the free KU link if you're US or UK and don't have it. And you can read my book completely for free, legally, ethically, and you're still rewarding your author. You're not, there are ways. So that's what I do, and I'm perfectly happy if I'm getting page reads and not sales.
Yeah, there are definitely those that are on different, we'll say podcasts or just ways that they get out, who are really supportive of going wide, which whatever way works for you is great. Wide, narrow. I chose a long time ago to really focus on Kindle Unlimited because I see that it allows me to do more or less effort to get more money. Now, we are also doing a wide effort. We're spending a lot of money on the wide effort and learning a lot. And we will bring these things that we learned to 20 books. And it's not easy. Great. I understand that. But in the meantime, I've made $3 million, $4 million in Kindle Unlimited. So I'm really a proponent of Kindle Unlimited. I know that there's concerns about Amazon, and they might be legit. I have no idea. But of, Amazon totally putting the screws down. Personally, I'm like, so long as we have a strong Apple, who is the ones responsible for bringing Amazon to 70-30 anyway, I think that we're going to be okay. This is subjective, my opinion. However, if you have enough backlist, start a process of going wide as well,
And there's certain genres that do better wide, but right now, understand people they want to read, but they may not be willing to buy. And that is, how do you target and market to those readers and make it a win-win for you as the author and you and the readers out there? So just understand that some of that marketing may shift, and people may be come out the other end and say, okay, I do have my cash and want to buy paperbacks. So because you're not going to shows and selling directly face to face, I've got a garage full of paperbacks. I was supposed to do a show in May up here in Alaska, and so I've got nice stock, and it's going to be in the garage. So I'm going to do some King Sumo giveaways as soon as it looks like we're out the other end and people are returning to work. I'm going to do some King Sumo giveaways saying, hey, sign paperbacks, and just make sure that everybody know I have paperbacks of these books. If you really liked them when you read them in KU, you could put these on your bookshelf. Because that may be one of the things that comes out of the pandemic, is people want to have more books available for when the internet slows down or cranks down, or the kids are watching Netflix and you don't want to watch their trashy shows.
And or you have to pay $400 for internet because you have phone lines only in the middle of nowhere.
Dude, this month will be $1,000.
$1,000 for your internet. Whoa.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be $1,000 because of the Daily Show and because of my wife is now having to teach all of her classes online. So, hey, it just is what it is. So that's keep selling. I'm pushing KU because I want those page reads. I want to entertain people, give them something to do because that's my writing. That's your writing. It's entertainment. It's you leave them feeling happy when they finish the book. So that's what I want to do. Hey, and here you can do it for free and I still get paid. That's a win.
I'm just curious, since you have some connections into the post-apocalyptic world, how's that genre doing right now? Are people jumping into it? Like the prepper, I would think maybe he's doing a little better because they actually show what it would take to do better. Or you just have post-apocalyptic life sucks. Is that doing worse because it's like, well, life already sucks?
The what I'm saying is first, I saw somebody post say, how does COVID doing as a keyword? Facebook is killing that. Facebook is not letting people profit off COVID keywords. So you can't do it there. I don't know if you can do it on Amazon because I haven't tweaked mine. I I think people searching for COVID really don't want to get my post-apocalyptic book, and I'm not going to give it to them. If they're looking for a pandemic survival, hey, that's different. Now, hey, read my End Times Alaska book because that's a survivalist series. What did they do to survive? Our book, the Terry Henry Walton Chronicles, that series is still doing really, really well. It's a great page reads because it's post-apocalyptic, but it's uplifting because Terry Henry wins at the end of each book and is winning throughout because he gives, here's why I want to do this. And he does it and they win. Happiness,
And
joy. So escape fiction, yes. We win with escape fiction. Okay, good. Back up to 5 bars. And that's so mine is doing okay. The end days series is a time travel. Hey, people, it's more of a thriller than a true post-apocalyptic, even though I mark it in post-apocalyptic, and that one is doing just fine too. So I think it's very relative. I think your black sky pandemic novels might not do so well, especially the ones that are accurate with today's situation, because people don't need to read your book to see how bad it is nowadays, and how governments can fail, and how the people can become mercenary, and you no longer have toilet paper. I mean, it's kind of a balance between first world problems and the end of days. So we'll get on the other side of this, and then people look back and say, okay, not too bad. Yes, I really do need to make space in my closet for 6 months worth of toilet paper. And after you've come to that realization and got rid of stuff that you don't need, then you'll be okay and moving forward.
Absolutely. That's just my curiosity there on that one.
Yeah, that's my take on post-apoc, and I only have 24, maybe more books on post-apoc, so I do keep my ear to the ground, and I think they're doing just fine. Zombie ones, I don't know. I don't think the zombie ones are doing that well right now because nobody wants to see this pandemic drive zombies. Although, if you died from COVID-19, your ability to resurrect and come back to life is zero because you have no lung capacity left. So unless they're not burning oxygen, and then you should be very afraid.
I would think so. Just by definition, zombies don't. If their meat thing is off, there's no oxygen in the blood and everything. So yeah, COVID, they could.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the individual that comes from rural Japan, I understand having grudges, and you are right to have that feeling and just stand that the feeling could costing you money, could be taking from Amazon. You could tweak this a little bit and go, I'm in cake and have to filthy. That's totally not really, because they're only going to pay the same amount anyway.
Yeah. And that's why I have a Soviet weapon collection, because we won the Cold War, and that's right. I can display your stuff. You're not displaying my stuff over there. So that's it. Why libraries? I know a number of authors who have given a book away saying, hey, things are tough right now. Here, have a free book, first in series. I'm going to give it away for free. We did that with a few different series. And then they get emails back saying, hey, can I have the rest of your books for free? And the answer is absolutely. Go check them out from the library. Go ask your library to stock them and check them out. So
Yeah.
it's because guess what? We still have bills. We still have bills to pay. And I'm in role play gaming, and a number of my friends are producers and produce content, and one of them spins miniatures, and one of the major miniature producers, and he ran a Kickstarter, and people flipped out. What are you doing trying to make money off us? I just lost my job. And he's like, but this is how I make my money. If I don't do this, I make no money. And it really makes for a hard balance. So go check out my book from the library. I still have to, this is our job. We can't say I'm not going to do any more of my job. And
Yeah,
especially
we
if you can
have.
read for free.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities. We inside LMVPN, we chose to do 30 days of spring forward, 30 days of free books. That's something we would do regardless of the pandemic. So we just happened to choose how to focus the giving away free books. And like, free starters, first one, we chose to do it that way. You know, there you go. Because I do believe that there's value in giving away free things, especially first books and starters. And oftentimes, if that person getting it is in KU, they'll go to the KU anyway and do it. And there's some value in just making sure that we're understanding of the mentality. But in general, we're not, we're not setting 600 books free. So
That's right. No. I did ask Steve to put Fratricide for 99 cents now, and let's hold
okay,
it because start the Dragon Con, the Dragon Award on Fratricide. So hey, make it 99 cents, and so anybody can get it for cheap if they want to
yeah,
read it, and then hopefully vote for it for Science Fiction Novel of the Year. Okay, hang
go
on
big or
just
go home.
a second. Yeah, might as well. Zombie. Now, if you died of COVID, your chance of talking is about 0 because you have to push the lung past the voice through the voice box.
Unless you have
And
magic in your books. If you have some sort of magical component, if I'm thinking the one that Elaine is talking about, there's magic in that world. I've just answered the solution.
yeah. When it comes, I want my zombies realistic.
Well,
All
then you're
right.
really talking about a parasite that goes in the brain. That's both.
Yeah, never died. Zombies from people who didn't die. Okay, any question? Come on, people. Questions. 32 minutes, and we haven't yet talked about our butts. Don't make us
No,
degenerate.
no, no. Don't make Craig. Let's just clarify this. Don't make Craig do this. The rest of that
Yeah.
conversation, when he said what we were going to talk about today, is not. It just shouldn't be.
He's
No,
thinking about it.
please. No, no. Thank you. I hope they don't snag that picture as being the one that shows
That was
everything
not
that's going
pretty.
on there.
It was not
No.
pretty, but Michael made me pull out the big guns because he didn't have a topic necessarily.
Yeah.
So
What? You didn't even ask. You just said, "Hey, can you be here?" And we're going to talk this. I'm like, "What?"
so butts are out then.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
really not
zombie. Yes,
comfortable
your
with that.
zombies can talk if they have magic, but don't. So be aware. Be aware. Also, I keep hopping down to one bar. So if we lock up or disappear, just hang on. Michael can probably still talk, and then I'll have to dive back on if I lose my connectivity because I am anywhere from one bar to 5 bars jumping back and forth right now. That's the
All right. So I'm going
limitation of where I
to.
live.
I'm going to fictionalize the conversation I had a little bit yesterday, and that had to do with an individual that was writing and had written a couple of series. Wasn't really enthused about the series. They were kind of searching more for the income versus necessarily what they wanted to write. Their main genre is one that is not normally a high selling genre. So in going through it, I went through the process of going, tell me what you like to read, tell me what you like, and to watch TV, what would interest you. Once you get through those processes, you can find out a genre that's probably a better selling genre. And once again, this is the idea behind what is it that you like? What is it that people like reading enough? Find the overlap. So that's the first part of finding the overlap. Then I went through the process of what I did with Catherian Gambit. How did I set up Bethany Ann? What did I, why did I choose 3 items, which actually goes back to Steve Jobs. 3 items. Remember when he put out the iPhone? It is a phone. It is the internet. It is a iPod. It is three things, because Jobs felt that the human mind could really only grasp three things terribly well. Once you go to 4 to 5 to 6, it would go down. And I'm like, okay, if they're going to glom on to something about this one character, I want them to glom on that she's about justice. She's about making sure that you go back and you build a family that cares about each other, even if it's not your normal family. Everyone's got their back. And she's about Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola rules. See, people, although you Dr. Pepper people are pretty cool. So that was the genesis. And so working the main character and looking at that, what drives him. And then I started going down, and we started finding out what drives him, because if you can put those things that you are very emotional, it makes writing this character natural. And you don't have to try to figure out how to do that. It comes across. So those were just some of the conversations, and I think they're still valuable for people, perhaps. Volunteer opportunities with 20 books. Craig?
Yeah. I mean, we're good on admins right now, and admins, it's a separate process. But 20 Books Vegas, we have a volunteer. I think the last time I checked, we had 125 people on it. We'll canvas that as we get closer, looking for special skills, possibly. The AV team will probably be looking for people before then, so I'll share the list with them, and they can scroll through it and find, hey, would you like to help us with the videoing? Because we record every session, and that means we need people who stay in the rooms. But your access to the guest speakers you have premier access to the guest speakers. You get to talk with them. You get to kick off the presentations, and then make sure that they're recorded for all posterior's sake.
Yeah. So, is there any volunteer opportunities for the website aspect of it?
What do you mean website?
Well, what if he means 20 books to 50K Facebook versus 20 books to 50K Vegas?
Oh, Facebook. There really aren't any. We're running it with a small group. We are solid right now. So yes, be aware, be on the watch. I will post on occasion, like once or twice a year, asking for, hey, if anybody does this, could you PM me and let's talk about something. So right now, it's just engage, do great for yourself, and become a pillar upon which other people can look and say, yes, that's where I want to go.
For the individuals who said I had one book, I'm not personally one to read a lot of craft books, so I can't tell you that. I can tell you the way I did it, which is in 2014. I wrote my first 20 or 30,000 words, found out that I got into a little bit of a snag, but more importantly, I took a year just for myself to go back through the books I liked. They often say that one of the big challenges is in the beginning, you write like those that you appreciate. Well, I went back through all the books that I liked, and I said, what was making me emotionally feel? I wasn't looking to see how they wrote it. I was looking to write what were the scenes, what were the things that the characters did that caused a visceral reaction in myself. And as I went through, I noted, I like this, and then I would say, oh, because of this. And then I started to understand what were the reasons the dopamine hits were happening. And so for me, if in that situation, my recommendation is find some of the books that you love, read them, looking for the aspects of when you have emotional reactions to it, and understand why. And then that is a way to enjoy writing as well, because you get to create those scenes again. And hope, the expectation is, and I believe it does happen, others that love those dopamine reactions, you're now creating a writing drug, for lack of a better word.
Hook them up. So that's great advice there. Read, and this is something we've talked to a number of guests over the past week, and most of them, that's what they said, is I read all of this. I studied. Elena Johnson, I sent her a note right before we started saying, hey, could you come on next week, somewhere Tuesday to Friday, to talk romance and what she did. She didn't just read some of the Western romance books that were out there. She said, I got them all and read them all with a critical eye and took notes for the tropes before I started writing. And guess what genre she's killing it in? Because
sci-fi.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. But no, Western romance. And because she did it right. She studied, because that's what professionals do. You study your craft, and then you go forth and conquer. You put on your business hat, you put on your artist hat, you switch back and forth, and you make magic happen for yourself, you and your family, by being successful with this. But you can't just say, hey, lit RPG is great, it's hitting right now, so let me write a lit RPG book, and you only read one. You're not going to be helping yourself, because there's more that goes into study than that. What, 10,000 hours to be an expert at something. So if it's
Yeah,
just writing, it's not. I've got we have more than 10,000 hours in this business, and there's a shitload of stuff that we don't know. I have a lot of hours in writing science fiction, so in that very narrow little world, I think I'm doing okay. I think I know the tropes, but the more I write, the less I read in that genre. So now I'm losing my expertise, and that's just, hey, it is. If I want to expand, I need to start reading again, and for whatever genre I'm looking to expand into.
yeah.
So stretching at your desk when you're sitting there for a long time. Me personally, I get up a lot because I'm an old dude and I drink a lot of coffee, and I try to go outside every time I get up. I try to go outside and stand around out there. Yes, I go out in my underwear, because where I live, nobody cares, nobody can see me. And
Would you please, people, start asking questions for the love of God, and ask
this
questions that do not end up with him going out talking about his
this
butt,
is what you
covered
get.
or not.
Yeah. So that's what I get up a lot. Probably every 30 minutes at least. What about you, Michael? What do you do?
Unfortunately, I really can't say that. I'm sitting here going, oh, I should probably put some sort of note saying, hey, get up, stretch. I get up to go get more water or a Coke or whatever. That's why I get up. I never think to get up to stretch. And I'm like, well, shoot, now I got, remind and actually stretch. I need to figure out what's a 5-minute stretch routine. I don't do it. So
Yeah,
I'm now sitting there.
I don't actively stretch. I just get up and go do something, like go clean up one part of the garage for 2 minutes. I mean, little. There's so much that needs done around here that I do whatever little bit I can, and just a little.
Between
Yeah.
romance reads are up. Go ahead and answer that, and then there's another one over here. I'm curious to answer.
The romance, from what I've heard, romance reads are up for sweet romance, contemporary, the uplifting romance stories, which of course happily ever after. I'm not so sure about billionaire romance, because with the stock market crash, there's a lot fewer billionaires, so they're even less believable now. And so millionaire romance might come back. I don't know. I'm making that up. So I don't. I have heard yes. So as far as wide, how are the romance authors doing who are wide and usually make good sales? I don't know. I haven't heard from any of them. But KU romance writers, I have heard that they're doing okay, and even a little bit better.
Oh, very nice. For the person who's asking, if you were choosing between continual increases in marketing budget or using that same extra income to publish new books, increasing to 2 or 3 per month, which route would you recommend? I write fairly clean and quickly, so that's not an issue. I'd like to hit regular 5-figure months versus my current high 4 figures. That's, for me, is a very easy answer. I'd write more books. Now, presuming that your books actually do well and do better, your backlist will start slowly bumping you up. The challenge is you almost always have to provide a little bit of marketing. Otherwise, new fans won't come in. But, I would lean toward more books rather than more marketing. However, I say this all the time when I talk about, many years ago, Marky Cooper did something with the same amount of books. He marketed only because that was his preference and stayed at, I think, 50,000 pounds or more annual just by marketing. And of course, that man is also slightly a genius, but that's beside the point. So you can do both.
I thought his books were great, but he's slowed way down, where he was writing one book every year to 18 months. But he maintained a solid income, which he said, I don't need to do even better than that. Because people are like, why don't you keep writing? Readers want more books in this series because it's so good. And no, I mean, that was his choice. I don't think he's published a book in 4 years.
Good, that's one individual I would love to get an hour with, just to ask him questions.
Yeah.
So that would be me. Product. Hell, we did that 300 and something books in 1 year. So Oh, by the way, if you do more books, you now have more opportunity to license them for audio and get more
Oh
money
yeah,
that way as well.
that's nice. Getting those audio contracts, and actually, free traders should be coming to audio any day now, which is I'm stoked about that because I do have a huge fan base for that, as odd as that is. So I'm writing a short story for an anthology instead of doing a standalone. I'm doing a free trader short because I'm not going to write another full length book. And cool that, and being able to announce, oh, by the way, the audiobooks are out. That'll be great. I write multi-genre. Is that a good or bad idea? Yes.
Yeah, it depends on your results. Results may differ. So we went multi-genre. Well, I wrote a multi-genre book, but then we marketed it toward one because people oftentimes can't seem to get their head around vampires in space. But if you talk about vampires, they're willing to get on board. If you maybe talk about sci-fi, they're willing to get on board. When you talk about peanut butter and chocolate, I'm not sure what's going on with that. The wide experiment from the standpoint of me accomplishing my goal is going very well, which is understanding, finding the problems, the challenges, and beyond that is it allows us at LMBPN to create relationships with people who would have no other reason to do it otherwise. Apple, deeper with Draft to Digital and Publish Drive, and going into China, and all of these things that we can do now that we could not do if we were strictly in KU. So that from that perspective is doing well. From an income perspective, it's doing about what I thought, which is miserable compared to being in KU. But not my goal, right? I knew that we were going to spend the money. It might suck to do it this way, but it's something that it is a business decision to go down that path. We definitely would be way ahead. I'm sure, have made more than 100 grand by now on the books that we've released if we were in KU. So, I hope
Yeah.
that answers that question. Karen Pepin, having an editor is always good. Agreed, unless the editor sucks. This is probably my horse that I've encountered editors with attitudes and opinions that, I've had to actually backtrack. I've talked to one person and finally I'm like, she's like, everything you're telling me to do, I was doing until an editor stopped me from doing it. I'm like, well, between the two of us, I'm selling, so I'm assuming I'm right. So let's backtrack that to your original. So editors can be amazing by getting you on the right track, and they can be horrible by taking you off. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell which one is which often, except asking fellow authors who are like, yes, not only did they, help me make a tight book, but my books sell.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the objective statement. Do your book sell? Because once again, 20 books is about selling product. There you go.
Yeah. And keeping readers happy. If you're making the readers happy, then what you're doing works. And now, if it can work a little bit better, that's the editor you want to find. If it makes you competitive with a different genre with that same book, then maybe not so much. Because if your editor says, well, this is horror, we need to add these elements and make it what it is not, then find a different editor. Find one that will deliver for you, and not blow smoke up your skirt either. It's there has to be some kind of challenges that help you grow as a writer, grow in a way you want.
Right. This is a curious question. Go ahead. I'll answer my version of this too.
Oh, outline. I outline. I used to outline. I used to try writing the whole book briefly, this and then that and then that and then that, and all of it was a bit of a distractor. My real goal with those and the success from those was simply thinking through the story. So not taking my phone with me when I go someplace, so I can just sit and think through the story. That is the outline that wins for me. So I just think of the key elements, I have them in mind, and then I write the story. So that's where I am with my current short story, a free trader short story. But okay, so my hardest part is remembering the characters and what they did and what they look like and stuff they carried from 3 years ago when the last book I wrote came out. So once I get past that, what is the story and what do I want? How am I hooking the reader? How am I keeping them engaged? How am I keeping them excited? These are the things I think through that becomes my internal outline that then makes its way onto the page.
And for me, my there's two parts to this. One, looking at other people's beats or outlines or whatever is good to understand the value, but take out the parts that work for you. Like what Craig said, he used to do it this way. He then found out how it worked for him this way. My outlines can be, depending on how close am I personally writing them, they can be just 2 sentences for a scene. Bethany Ann needs to do this. This is what's accomplished. If I'm writing outlines where I'm engaging with a collaborator or someone else, then they typically go about 8,000 words for 80,000 word book. And then as I'm working more with the people, at times I can pull it back some because I'm like, oh, they are incredibly strong with being able to write war scenes. So I'm like, this is probably battle's going to take, let's say, 2 chapters. And I'll go, battle scene 1, this is what needs to occur. Battle scene 2, this is the ending of it. That's it. That's all the whole battle scene would do. So it depends on what's the actual purpose of the beats or the outlines. And I'm more than happy to go back and find some in Inker Theory and Gambit and put it out there, if people would think there's value.
I've actually included outlines in some of my books saying, oh, hey, this book deviated greatly from my outline. Here was my original outline. And I share it as a supplemental content that's unique to that book. It's not to plus up page reads or any bullshit like that. It's simply, hey, here's a different version of the book. This was the original version, and what you just read is what the end result was. So that's why I've shared some outlines in my books.
Yeah, the Michael Anderle, great to meet you a few years ago at the Microsoft store where you told me about this group. Glad to see you're still doing well. Thank you very much. And if it was the Microsoft store where I bought the expensive laptop, the man to whichever side you see him is the one who has that laptop right now. It was more expensive than an Apple laptop, I'd like to state. A very fine machine for a Windows platform, but I
got it on a scratch and dent sale.
I hate that. I'm so careful with my machines, and it hurt me. That is a beautiful machine.
It drives everything. I've got. I had to buy an extra slave port for all the extra accessories I've added to it, and to include driving an HD monitor and all kinds of stuff. And I do all these off it. And I just copied an extra 100 gig of videos that I had already. That I have on DVD that is like, hey, I want to watch them here. So I cut an extra 100 gigs of DVDs to video, and I have them on here. And I still only have like 500 gigs left of storage space, thanks to the super box that Michael built. So
I had such a good time at that particular store. No,
I like this, and it's a Surface Pro laptop that, because the separate tablet breaks away, it has 2 batteries. There's a battery in the tablet, and there's a battery in the bottom. So when I travel, even traveling to Vegas, that's 9 hours of time it takes for me to get to Vegas. I don't have to plug in at all, and when I get there, I still have like 50% power on the battery. So I've traveled to Europe on it and never had to plug it in. So like 10 hours of screen time, no problem. I mean, I dim it down because that's the biggest user of the battery, but I've been able to use this thing to type, create, watch movies, do all that stuff, and the battery lasts a long, long time. So I am a big fan.
Yeah, I would definitely. I can't say what's going on with HP or IBM or any of the other ones, but I would go back to a Microsoft store if I'm going to look for a Microsoft laptop. That's my first place to go.
Yeah, I would get an upgrade to this if I ever. I don't see needing it for a while. So,
how do we make the process quicker? How do you make it quicker?
I followed Michael's model and put the editor on retainer, or paid them in advance, and kept them close, kept them happy with my first editor. I actually said, I will pay you double your rate. And that's what I have paid ever since. And I am perfectly happy. She gets it done quickly. She gets me my stories in a week. Lynn, who you have, she does exclusive work. Hey, we found a person who edited and is willing to edit again, who retired. And, oh, by the way, I don't know what your pitch was, but it was probably like, I know you're a workaholic, but we're only going to pitch you a book or 2 a week. You'll be good. We'll keep you in diamonds. And yeah, now she gets like 10 books a week or 30, and has a whole team working for her. But it's for Michael. He built his own editing empire to handle the volume that he was going to produce. For me, I have an editor on retainer just because, hey, and I sent her a note this morning saying, oh, by the way, got a book coming in about 2 weeks, just to let her know, and then get it edited.
So here's another one. I was talking with Stephen Russell last night, and there will be people who do not agree with this, and that's fine. But I look at it as a situation where, and Stephen's effort, Stephen will self-admit that he doesn't type very fast, ergo, so he doesn't put out the books as quick, right? And so the challenge is Stephen writes books with a lot of empathy. He writes them well, he writes them slower, and then he goes back through it. And he's not necessarily editing for story, he's editing for mistakes because his goal is to deliver the cleanest manuscript possible. I applaud that, but if you're the person who's writing the story, and which is a better use of your time, proofreading or editing? And I'll tell you, it's writing the next story. If you can afford someone to come back behind you and find the mistakes, do that. You should be creating new product. And that's the mentality I had when I built LMVPN. Now, when we get to a point where we can afford making sure certain individuals don't make the same damn mistakes every single time the editors have to fix, well, then we encourage that aspect of it. But in general, my attitude is allow those that can to do, and if you're the one creating the story, you should be creating that, not spending a lot of time. Now, I understand certain people use the editing process to refine the story. I never did. I built a 7-figure income, and I bet you I never deleted more than 3,000 words out of everything I wrote at that time. And it was a first pass, and then it went. Now, however, was it because I had read so much? Whatever the discussion of how I accomplished that, to me, is irrelevant. If you can write first pass, and I think Dean Wesley Smith talks about this a lot too, and then move it out, then you're in a production opportunity here. This is not literary, which requires it. You know, word play is most important. This was merely, I'm a pulp writer. I'm here to tell an engaging story that people love and to move that product. So treat that as you will.
Yeah, but you have your goal, and that's your goal is set. Here's this. If you want to write more flowing prose that your fans can wait for and your checkbook can wait for, then please do that. But the story, and this is what are you trying to accomplish with your story? And this is I think I found that balance. I like writing good, engaging prose, but I edit as I go, just because I have to get back into the story. So I read what I wrote yesterday, tweak it up, and then move forward. And that's all I do. And when I type the end, I read that last little bit, and then I shoot it to the editor or shoot it to beta readers and get their input, because I want a great story, but that's how I give it to them. And I want to write the next story, and I want to write the next one, and that's what my readers expect as well. So I'm going to have a lot of stories this year because not going to shows, not traveling, being trapped here. So that's what I'm doing, and trying to hopefully set up the Indie Capstone project and have some great weekends with some motivated writers to help them on their journey, help them farther up the mountain.
Absolutely. And for the individuals who said that you have learning disabilities, so it takes you ages to write, 3 books is first amazing. Mm-hmm. I think it takes 4 books for you to have a full setup in the Amazon author page. So the challenges each one of us has to be overcome, obviously, individually. While any of us might be able to deliver some suggestions, they still have to work for maybe your personality, which is good, bad, or indifferent. But for me, my challenge is I look at it very pragmatically from a production standpoint. And so if you write slowly, then the question is, okay, is it a writing problem? Is it a slow consideration of the story issue? You always have the ability to, if you can create a compelling beat set or compelling script almost, you can have someone else fill in the words. There are options to move forward. You just have to be willing to do them. Sometimes I'll encounter a situation where someone says, I want X. Once again, I'm an addict, so I'll suggest A, B, and C, and then they'll put in the, but I want this too. And I'm like, those are mutually exclusive. You know, you can't have every. It's almost like when I played Dungeons and Dragons, I wanted a magic user who could wear plate mail, and it was just against the effing rules. But that's what I wanted, and I couldn't have it. And I always tried to figure out how to break that damn rule.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's just you can't. You can imagine trying to cast a spell as the Black Knight guarding the bridge. Cost you your arms.
So,
all right, latest release in the series, full price or discount in these times. I know there are a lot of variables. I'm just wondering if anyone is doing well releasing at full price. Yes.
any suggestions? Yes. What we do is we typically release at full price. We have a fans Saturday. There's a whole long discussion on how that came about, but we're not getting rid of it without having a lot of people bring torches and pitchforks. And so we do have a 99-cent day, and we try to combine it and make it smaller. And now the fans know exactly what's going on. And so, we release it full price. Ag said we have a 99-cent day. And what that does is the fans who don't care, where money is not an object, they just buy it. That's their goal. You have people who, where the money is a problem, they will KU it because they want to read it right away. If we just, let's say, put a book out on it doesn't really matter. But so long as they get to it, they're reading it, and then they'll go and buy it 99 cents. And so if anyone wants to take that idea, I would just start showing, a month later. I wouldn't put it the week that we did. So, I think a month, if you put it out and just go, hey, for fans, we're going to have a fan pricing where anything done in the last X amount of days, we're going to put here. We're going to release it 99 cents here. So you get a double hit, something to think about.
So I release at full price as well. My last one was a first in series with Julia Hooney, and we released at full price. We did all the pre-order period at full price, and then we switched it to 99 cents for 2 weeks to build momentum. And then I upped the price. I was going to up the price to $4.99 after 10 to 14 days. And instead, because of this time, I upped the price only to $2.99. And we're still getting the same. We're actually getting more sales at $2.99 than we did at $99, right towards the very end there. And it was end of the 10 days. So it's been a really good balance to get people into this first in series. There's a pre-order link at the end saying if you like this book, check out the next book. And we already have exceeded the pre-orders from the first book with the second book pre-orders. So that was a milestone that we hit yesterday.
Congratulations.
And it's still 2 weeks prior to when the second book is coming out. And our page reads continue to grow each day. So we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, which is a certain velocity of presentation to potential readers, whether through either KU or showing up in also bots. It's where it needs to be. And it took that 99 cents. The next book, it'll come out at $4.99 and it'll stay at $4.99, the full price. And the third book, we have the pre-order ready for that one. And so the second book, when they get to the end, it'll say, oh, and by the way, check out the third book. And if they're still on board, they'll pick that one up too. And personally, the second book is better than the first book. So all those people who bought the second will probably buy the third then as well. And I'm excited about this series. It has done well for us already, only after 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. So good to go. 28 days is what we put in between each release of the first 3. And after that, we'll evaluate and see if we want to do a fourth book. But already it's looking good. The pre-orders alone are telling us people like the first book. Like the first book enough to buy the second at $4.99, even though they got the first probably at $99 or in KU. So big win for the home team. So yes, instead of $4.99, I price it $2.99, and I'll leave it there for this for the duration of the crisis. But the next books will come out at $4.99. People can read them in KU. They're long books, so we're good either way. And variables. It's what your readers are comfortable with. Like Michael said, he has hey, if it came out this week, you get it for 99 cents on Saturday. We'll run a promotion. And so if you try to do away with that, yeah, they'd be coming out with the tar, the burning tar, and the pitchforks. But so it's what your reader, manage your reader expectations. And this is something that you need to decide at the outset. Otherwise, you'll have rebellion. When we switched from it comes out on the first day at 99 cents to, hey, we're just doing it on Saturday, there was a significant uprising, claims of, oh, you're profiteering off us now, you bastard. I mean, there was some name calling. It wasn't pretty, and there was a lot of time spent online explaining to people.
We just couldn't do it.
Oh,
we were coming up from 2 books a week maybe to 4 or 5 books a week, which meant emails would go up from 1 to 4 or 5 a week, and we're just like, look, folks, sorry, but we need to pull it together and only have to do this.
There was a business reason besides, and not, hey, we want to milk the clients or milk the readers. That it was, this is too cumbersome. We can't do it anymore. We're just going to put them all on one day. We'll send out one email a week that says, oh, by the way, all these new releases are now. And it took months before the volcanoes calmed.
Yeah, we were consistent. They're 99 cents. They got the new normal. The new normal is actually better anyway, because at that point, they didn't have to find out Tuesday and get the book, and Wednesday and get the book, and Friday and get the book, and then go, but I missed Thursday book. Would you give me that? So it's on Saturday. Yep. Just look for us. You find it here. Go grab them. So it did work out for the fans, but it was challenging, and there's no way I intend to change this anytime soon.
I don't know what I answered on that one. Where we're the ones setting the trends. Is it because it could be regarding pricing? It could be regarding KU. I don't know what that answer is to. So
which part is that?
It's a
guy. I can guarantee you, there's a really good chance I'll disagree with you.
Yeah, I think there's other people out there setting trends. I think I may adopt a trend quicker than others. I may know some people who said, "Hey, I'm trying this," and I jump on board, and it just turns out to work. But that's just because of relationships. Which one? $20 Vegas relationships, yay! Those kinds of things that help us. And also one big thing that I'm huge on is I want to show, not tell. So I want to lead from the front. So I'm doing these things. I'm like Facebook ads and driving more to different places to be successful with my fiction. Because it's hard to stand up here and say, hey, look at this, we're doing all this, and when we're not actually doing that. So I'd rather be doing that and speak from a voice of experience, and also say, I did this and it really sucked. So you got to keep that in mind too.
Yeah. So, Guy, if you can actually stipulate which part that we're trying that you disagree with, so we can have a point of discussion on it, that would be awesome. I would appreciate that.
The way we see the comments in the right column here beside is every comment is like new. We don't see that it's an answer to a previous comment that somebody had. All we see them as chronological order, newest at the bottom. With the comment, it could be a reply to it. Just shows up fresh and new as if it's all by itself. So that's just from a limitation of Be Live. And that's where we are. So it's been, geez, holy cow, 68 minutes. Sunny out.
I'm trying to figure out the answer. To increase the marketing budget or marketing, don't have. The only one I can see that's right above it is choosing between continual increases in marketing budget or editing is above that. I can just tell you my answers on marketing or editing is very vitriolic. Because I got a lot of shit when I started out, and I made a significant income with non-edited books except for myself. So I can say right now with no queries whatsoever, yeah, you can. You better have a really damn good freaking story if you're going to do it, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Permafree books, is it over? Question on permafree.
Yeah, that's there we go.
So can you answer this correct? Because I really don't know. I don't pay attention.
Nothing's over. I've heard. I don't like those. The permafree is working for me, but permafree now that has been dying for well over a year. It's been a challenge. Some people still realize a great deal of success with that, but it goes back to marketing. Just throwing a free book out onto the ocean of readers is not successful. What you need to do is you get your free book into very, very specific hands, and then it's fine. So a book bub, like a science fiction book bub, for free, you get discounted to like $500 if you get selected for a feature deal. But those are science fiction readers. You're putting a book into their hands. They're looking for books to read because BookBub doesn't carry a whole lot of free deals anymore. So if you sell a book on BookBub, even if it's free, this is a reader. So I think it's the targets of your marketing campaigns that will deliver, not necessarily that it's free or not. So you'll see a lot more people selling at $99 or $2.99, and BookBub feature deals are showing that they're running a lot more features on $2.99 books. But they're really, really big names. They're TradPub. They're books that are $14.99 ebook regularly, and people may not necessarily be buying those, but they're putting it in people's hands at $2.99. So, yes, is it over? I never started perma-free. I still use my free days on first in series, but it's very targeted in who I send those to, and I'm sending them to readers, not collectors. I hope.
Yeah. Well, it's
that's
a
all
much
I can say,
safer way to have a collection problem when it's digital. You just have to get another hard drive space, and with terabytes being, whatever. And then Karen, I apologize if my response related to editing was taken personally. It wasn't certainly meant personally, but I've had many vitriolic discussions with people who are so pro editing that they believe that editing is the only way to do it properly. And if you go back and read any of my rants from a few years ago, I'm like, I just came up with hashtag probably, because if almost anyone who says you must do it this way, I've had experience where I was successful and didn't.
Yeah.
So
I published an unedited book and sent it to a imprint of Simon and Schuster. I edited myself, and they bought it. So I'm not going to. Also, I am a success story of an unedited book. You must is a really bad way to try to get into somebody else's life.
Just to clarify, she didn't specify it that way.
No, and but we have had some significant arguments with people about you must. It's like, no, you must not. You must do what works well for you. There's only one. There's only one a constant, and that's you need to find readers willing to pay for your work. If you want to be a professional, you have to sell your work, and people have to buy it. So that's the constant for being a professional author: selling your work.
Yeah. How much time do you should wait before you refresh a cover? Well, Craig and I decided to not wait necessarily, and we've had situations where we've never changed covers yet. The one for Craig and I on the Terry Henrys, they came out, he's writing furiously, and we realized almost immediately this is not getting us the responses we want. We don't have the ability to keep going, so we engaged with Andrew Dobell and immediately set up a photo shoot. Now, because Craig was writing so fast, we had 3 or 4 books before we recovered. It takes a while to book models and to get everything done. But that one we immediately recognized we had the wrong covers. And so we immediately started changing. Cost us about, I want to say $3,000.
It was, what's that?
It cost us about $3,000 at the time to make that decision.
For a photo, and that was, we'd already paid for the original covers. But one thing is, because I wrote a book so damn fast, I earlied up when we were going to publish by about a month. So we caught the cover artist unaware, and we weren't sure how successful the series was going to be. It was supposed to be just 4 books. 3 books in on a 150-year period, I'd covered like 3 years. So I'm like, this might be a little bit longer than 3. And Michael's like, then we have got to do a photo shoot so we can spread these costs out over however many covers it takes. 6, 8, 10. It turns out that it was like 27 books later, but it's all good. It's all good. And we use those same models. So that cover shoot has paid for itself in spades. We've put them on a lot of covers. We've done a lot of things with them. We threw some merchandise out there because it was our photo shoot. So we're not using anything that we don't own. So really, really made it good for the brand. That series sold really well. It had nice, consistent covers across the 20 some books that were involved, and it was a huge win. And it only cost us $3,000 to change our minds. Well, it cost us like $750, $1,000, whatever the cost of the first 3 covers was before redoing them. And we redid those a month total that we had those first covers in out there.
Yeah, it wasn't that long, but oh my God, it felt like 6 months when you're looking at those covers going, that's not the cover we want. So the other one, of course, is the other side is we haven't, but we are now refreshing cover series from 2 years ago, just realizing that, okay, we've got the time, we've got the talent to do it. And, this particular series has made good, solid money. And we're like, okay, let's redo this. And so we already still have the assets. This is, in the beginning, this was the effort for LMBPN to use 3D models versus using real models. And so we still had all of those assets we could reuse. And so we have. Didn't take us long to go back and reposition those 3D models. We didn't have to do a new photo shoot like I had to do with Bethany Ann, And so there's a lot of value in using that structure and moving forward. So.
And same thing with spaceships. Once we knew that we were going to do a lot of spaceships on covers, we bought a bunch of spaceships in 3D and then just model them. And so they're a little bit different than anybody else's. They're not clip art spaceship. So we pay anywhere from $100 to $300 for a 3D modeled sexy spaceship, and then just shift it and move it all around, and you have a sexy cover that's unique. And
repaint the covers, the colors.
Yeah. All stuff that the good cover artists can do for you. And we threw different typography on covers, same cover, but different typography. That has made a difference, made stuff pop more, especially when you see how it sells. One set of covers, I had the typography darkened and almost disappeared at thumbnail size if somebody was looking at it on a phone. So I redid those and brightened up the typography and made it so you could see it thumbnail. And I believe that made a difference. And those kinds of things. How long do you wait? As long as you need to. So some we haven't changed at all.
Okay, covers. Yeah, because there's another one down here about how long did you wait to translate books into others?
Last question.
And that was, we didn't necessarily wait on purpose. We got a great opportunity. Germany is the one that works for us now. We have enough books in that we're doing, over 20,000 euro a month in income, not including bonuses, which is probably another 2,000 to 4,000 a month. So we'll be, €250,000, call it what, 275 US by the end of the year. And then the expectation is if that keeps growing, then we'll probably be at close to 500,000 by 2021. Somewhere in there. So we like Germany.
How long did you wait? So 3 years?
Probably 2 before what happened was a fan who loved the series, who was in Germany, came to me with the offer. And we're like, yeah, let's do this. We met them. Well, there's a little bit more. We met them in Frankfurt. We had discussions, yada, yada, yada. How would it work? And so it was a couple of years, but I would tell younger Mike to get into it a lot earlier.
And that was the German market is the best foreign market right now. Spanish market, we're having not as much success. French market, not as much success. They're getting hit really hard financially right now. Germany is doing better, but still the German market has been good. Mark Dawson is also realizing a lot more success in the German market than any of the others. And this is Michael. Michael built an infrastructure. It wasn't just, hey, let me find a translator, let me hire them, let me find a couple readers who are German native speakers and make sure that, and they'll proofread and it'll be good. No, Michael built an infrastructure because it wasn't like, I want to translate a book. It was, I want to translate a series and then more. And there's 21 books, millions of words that I'm going to need translated probably. So
with that one, like I think the new one of that one either just came out or is coming out again. It's amazing what goes on. The experience of the German team and Jens, who heads it up, is just incredibly fun to watch because it's like when we put Arthurian Gambit out the first time. And then, but he has the benefit of seeing all of our series. Which ones does he really want to engage with? And so far, LMBP in German has been able to sign a contract with Dakota Kraut as the first lit RPG, and that book is almost out. And the people, the beta readers for that, are just like, "What is this?" And they love it. And so we believe that we're going to do very well, and we are scaling up as fast as we financially can.
And within maintaining that quality. well translated books, and that takes a few steps. So anyway, with that, and Jens will be in Vegas
Hope.
in November. He's coming to 20 Books Vegas. So there we are. Bob Drunkel, coming to you.
Thank you for finally giving us the questions that Craig would get off talking about his.
But you can say it.
Yeah.
Spaceship ass. You said that. Anyway,
well, that's anyway.
We're here. I'm going to go out.
Thank
and
you,
do
everybody.
Snow blowing. It's nice and sunny and just beautiful outside right now. It had gotten down to it's 22 degrees right now. And during this conversation, I check my pulse a lot because of my heart. And during the conversation, my pulse had gotten down to 68. So I guess like a sniper, I'm here on target, all relaxed and calm. And I'm happy to see that. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for coming along for the ride.
Thank you, everyone.
And you have a good day.